let's talk about toilets. Or should I say loos, lavatories, jakes, conveniences, bathrooms, powder rooms, dunnies, whatever you like to call them. But today we're diving into something we don't often think about when studying history. How the Tudors relieved themselves. And more importantly, what did they use to wipe their bottoms? For the average Tudor person, the answer was straw, moss or leaves, with the velvety leaves of the mullein plant being a popular choice. But if you were a noble or even a king like Henry VIII, you had finer options. According to historian Lucy Worsley, Henry VIII would use soft linen, cotton or even pieces of blanket, which could be washed and reused. And who handed him the cloth? Well, his groom of the stool, the most intimate position at court. Henry's close stool was a padded, velvet-covered box with a hole in the top, placed over a chamber pot. While it sounds like a servant's worst nightmare, the groom of the stool was actually one of the most powerful men at court. He had the king's ear. In Henry VIII's reign, Sir William Compton, Sir Henry Norris, Sir Thomas Heneage, Sir Anthony Denny all held this office, and all were royal favourites and powerful men. The close stool was situated in a private room, but while monarchs enjoyed privacy, their subjects had a very different experience. At Hampton Court Palace, Henry VIII's courtiers used the Great House of Easement, a communal toilet. Imagine a long wooden plank with holes cut into it every 2 feet or so, where courtiers sat side by side doing their business while watching the comings and goings of court. And where did all that waste go? Well, a chute beneath their feet funneled it into brick-lined culverts that ran under the moat and emptied into the River Thames. Lovely. If you lived in a castle, you probably had a garderobe, essentially a hole in the castle wall through which waste dropped down to a cesspit or the moat below. This was not a perfect system, and descriptions from the time talk about the terrible smell of human waste getting caught on the walls as it fell. Cleaning the underground chambers, sewers and garderobes of royal palaces and castles was a job for gong scourers, men tasked with removing head-high piles of excrement with spades and cleaning the walls with scrubbing brushes after the royal court moved on. Imagine being those men. Yuck. For everyday people, things were even worse. If you lived in a rural area, you might have a privy at the bottom of your garden, a wooden seat over a pit. But in towns and cities, things were far less sanitary, as there wasn't land for people to build privies. Instead, some tenements and houses had cesspits, but these were expensive to maintain. Historian Ian Mortimer explains that in London it required a team of 12 men to dig out 16 tonnes of excrement in an average household latrine over the course of 2 nights, and that barrels and carts were needed, as well as candles, juniper to freshen it afterwards, and maintenance of the brickwork of the chute, and the cost of cleaning the house after the barrels had been carried through it. He says that in 1575 the cost of this type of operation would have been the equivalent of 132 days' work for a labourer, so most people just couldn't afford it. A solution to this was to build public latrines, and there was one situated on London Bridge above the River Thames. But many people used chamber pots and then simply dumped their waste into the street gutters. A problem so bad that in wealthier neighbourhoods, people could be fined if they were caught emptying their waste in the public streets. And if you couldn't be bothered to go outside, well, fireplaces were sometimes used as an emergency toilet because, well, why not? But not all Tudor plumbing was primitive. In 1596, Sir John Harrington designed a flushing toilet with a pan, a seat, and a handle that released water from a cistern to wash the waste away. His godmother, Queen Elizabeth I, even had one installed at Richmond Palace, though she wasn't particularly impressed and the idea didn't catch on. But flowing water was seen as helpful for a privy. Andrew Boord, in his book on building your house, advised situating your privy over flowing water to remove the filth. And apparently Sir William Peters' house, Ingeston Hall in Essex, had running water and drains which took away the waste from the 5 privies in the house. What's really interesting is that sanitation had actually really regressed after the fall of the Roman Empire. The Romans had communal toilets with running water, sponges on sticks for wiping, and sophisticated sewer systems. The Tudors, despite all their advancements in shipbuilding, theatres, exploration, were still throwing their waste into the street. So there you have it, the grim but fascinating history of Tudor toilets. Next time you complain about modern plumbing, just remember the Great House of Easement or fireplace surprises. What do you think? Was Tudor sanitation better or worse than you expected? Do let me know in the comments. And if you love diving into the nitty-gritty of Tudor life, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more. I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye. For the average Tudor person, the answer was a straw. Can't. Stop it.